Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. My name is Ethan Wiley. I'll be opening us up here today in our first episode back from the Christmas break. I'm joined here with Kennedy Harris of the women's basketball team. Don't forget that this podcast is sponsored by Papa John's, where you can go and get the MSU special, which is a 2-topping large pizza for $7.99 with your MSU ID. Like I said, I'm here with Kennedy Harris. We will also be joined with guests from the men's wrestling team and the women's hockey team. So don't go anywhere. We've got a great show lined up for tonight. How are you doing, Kennedy?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. So coming off of a couple big wins for the women's team, you've had 2 great games in a row. What's kind of the morale of the team and for yourself as well, kind of moving forward now?
Well, this weekend I know we were down 3 starters, so that was a big adjustment for us, and Coach kept saying, next one up. So I think all of us took that as more of an opportunity to get playing time and show what we can do on that court, and I think a lot of us fortunately did it at the same time. Yeah,
that's awesome. So 3 starters down. Did you guys feel like you had to really readjust your game plan? Like, what was the process of getting ready for a game where you're down, over half of your starting lineup?
We've started a whole bunch of different girls this year, and there's been different girls thrown in there. And we play together every day in practice, and teams are always switched up. So we're all very close, and it wasn't a big adjustment for us, no.
Awesome. So both games were also pretty close, both kind of fourth quarter rallies. What's it like being kind of in that environment? What kind of things was Coach telling you guys, just trying to keep you, keep your heads in the right space, trying to move forward? What was that kind of like?
Yeah, Coach just said, keep playing your game. Like, we go through these situations every day in practice. We know what to do. It's just a matter of us not getting nervous and just playing our game. And it helped that it was on our home floor. We knew what to do. A lot of us were experienced college basketball players out there at the time, so we had been in that situation before, and we knew how to take care of it.
Nice. And so, yeah, like you said, on the home court, you guys have been pretty good at home this year, struggling a little bit away, and you'll be heading away to St. Paul playing against Concordia. How are you guys preparing for that?
I think coming off 2 big wins that we needed gives us a lot of confidence for road wins, and we actually got our first road win against Wayne since Coach Brent has been here, so I think that also gives us we can do this kind of thing, and we can win a road game. We're capable of doing that, and I think now that we're playing as high as we are right now, I think a lot of us know we can do it, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of backtracking a little bit, looking at your past experiences, obviously you transferred from Northern State. How has it been transitioning from whatever the play style was there to moving to MSU and even having that gap year where you were, going within the conference? What's that transition been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a crazy college career I've had. I started at Northern as a freshman, and the style really wasn't my kind of play. It was very slow and and that was also different because it wasn't my coach currently. So, yeah, it's been crazy.
Gotcha. So, has like you said, you've moving from a slower pace to a higher tempo. What is it about a higher tempo, play style that is appealing to you? What is it about it that makes it stand out as something that you enjoy more?
I think as a shooter, every shooter just likes to, play, and once they get open or get a chance to release the ball, it's kind of their kind of game.
Yeah.
As a shooter.
Yeah. And statistically, obviously you're seeing improvement. You're averaging a little over 7 points a game. Across the board, your numbers have been better than what they were at Northern. So it definitely shows.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling, personally moving, you've just had 2 huge games. Is that how are you trying to maintain that moving forward this year?
Right, yeah. Personally, I'm working hard for it not to just, be a fluke or hey, she had a couple good games, a few good weekends here. I want it to be consistent, and that's probably my biggest thing going forward is just staying consistent, maybe not scoring as much as I did this weekend, but there's so many other things that positively to do on the court. So
Right. And then even looking off the court, how are you, you've got all of the stuff going on with basketball and then trying to balance academics with it as well. Has that been a relatively positive experience here at Minot State?
Yeah, it's been manageable. I mean, I have with my major, I've had a lot of time with elementary ed to balance both. This will probably be the toughest semester starting into blocks and practicum, so yeah.
Right. And then you've kind of talked about, prior to when we started the show, you mentioned this would probably be your last year playing basketball. Any kind of, have you really thought much about that yet, given how much time you've put into it leading up to now?
Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be different. I haven't had a day where I don't go to practice at 4 o'clock every day as long as I can remember. So it's going to be different. It's going to be probably tough to, realize that I am done with this game that I love. But at the same time, I know I'm ready to move on and go to bigger, better things and start my career.
Right. So now, something I've always wondered for, especially college athletes who, decide to step away from the sport, what are you going to do with all of the extra time now?
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be weird. I had that conversation with one of my classmates today. They're going to be like, what do you do on your free time? I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know what I do in my free time. I'll find out soon, though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, any last words you really want to share with any of the students or faculty who may be watching?
I don't think so. Just come out and support when we're home for our last few home games.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you again to Kennedy for coming out and just having a good conversation. Again, this has been the Inside the Dam podcast sponsored by Papa John's, where you can get the MSU special for 2 large topping pizza for $7.99. Don't go anywhere. We'll be taking just a short break as we get our next guests on the air. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast, brought to you by Papa John's, now offering the MSU special, which includes the large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 to anyone with a MSU ID. I'm your co-host, Matthew Bosch, and let's wrestle our way through this interview. Let's do this. Pun intended. He's a 6th-year senior and has 56 career wins at the My State, which is number 2 all-time in the wrestling program. Oscar Nellis, thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, first question I kind of want to talk about at My State University.
Right. Yeah, I come from San Diego, California, so it was a gamble coming out here in Minot. I'd never been in the snow, never experienced anything like that. I was really nervous coming out here freshman year. And then once I got here, man, the community was so nice to me. I met a lot of close friends in the wrestling and in the classroom. Teachers are great coaching staff, and I just felt really welcomed here.
Yeah, we like to pride ourselves in the Midwest to be over nice. Yeah.
It's insane.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so let's talk about the highlights. Let's highlight and about your match on Thursday and just yesterday on Sunday with the overtime against Moorhead and your Mary match on Sunday. You won with a 12-4 majority decision. So let's just walk me through the match, both matches, starting with the one on Thursday.
Okay, yeah. So Thursday I was wrestling at Moorhead, and I had a rough start. I'm not gonna lie. I got up by a few points. The kid came back. Honestly, started getting a little tired, and I really gotta give props to my teammates and the fans, because they really woke me up, honestly. I could hear them cheering me on, telling me to keep on going. I kind of found that second gear there in the end, and I was able to get 2 late takedowns, 1 in overtime for the win. And then, Sunday, my coach talked to me. We got my diet down. I needed to be ready. And, one of my biggest flaws is that I manage my weight properly or don't manage it properly. It really affects how I'm going to wrestle. So, wrestling Mary, it's always a good rivalry. I don't want to mess around with those guys. So, I came out. We just lost a close match with heavyweight, so I was really pumped up, hydrated, ready to go, and stuck to the game plan, and really broke the kid down and went my way.
Yeah, of course. Union Mary is definitely really tough.
Yeah.
And especially, let's talk about, that Thursday match where you had to go into overtime. What was, your mindset? What was, going through your head that day? Because with the overtime, I'm sure, you're, freaking out and stuff, too.
Right. Yeah, so I was down really late in the match, and then I kind of found my groove, the last minute of the match. And then once it hit overtime, I almost got, a second wind, like a runner's high almost. And I felt good, and I knew exactly what the kid was going to do, and I hit my setup and got the takedown. It was a little sloppy, but I still got the job done. So
that's the end all, getting the job done.
Right.
Of course. You said in an interview on Thursday that, quote, being on this team for 6 years, I've realized I've got to be a role model for the next matches. How do you plan to present yourself to be that role model in practices or in matches, and what other goals do you have for the rest of the season?
Yeah, being here for 6 years, I could tell, a lot of these kids look at me, see what my work ethic is, show up on time, listen to the coach, all the little things that help build a really good team. And, my plans, we got 2 really tough matches coming up this week, and really in this region, in our conference, it's so hard. You got to take it one match at a time. So right now I'm focused about Upper Iowa, then Saturday I'll be focused about Parkside.
All right, cool. And we'll just end it off with one last question. So we're 2 weeks into the spring semester. So tell me, how's it been going so far for you, and what do you plan to accomplish this semester?
Yeah, I got one more class, just taking one class right now, and I'm going to get my bachelor's in criminal justice. Once I'm finished up wrestling here, I'm going to become a fish and game warden.
Fish and game warden. That's awesome. Planning to still be in North Dakota?
Yeah. I love it here, honestly.
Yeah. But the winters are cold, though.
Oh, yeah. You can't get used to that.
I know. I'm not ready for another April storm.
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
I know. Well, Oscar, thank you so much for talking with me today. Just remember that the next match will be on Friday, the 27th, against Upper Iowa. That'll be at 7 o'clock at the MSU Dome. And thank you again to Papa John's. Remember, the MSU special is the large 2-topping pizza. For $7.99 for anyone with an MSU ID. We'll take a quick below break, and then we'll kick it back to Cole with the last interview. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Inside of the Dam podcast. A great show tonight for you guys. Again, we just had Kennedy Harris from women's basketball, kind of giving her background on Oscar Nellis, showcasing a few of his great matches from the past weekend. Again, we are sponsored by Papa John's. Check out their large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you have a valid MSU ID. Also, don't forget, on February 3rd, KMSU will be having their annual basketball series when Minot State takes on the Bemidji State Beavers. It is the Battle of the Beavers, so don't forget to check that out on Friday. Again, that is February 3rd. As promised, our last guest of the night, she is a forward on the women's hockey team, also a transfer. Give it up for Sydney Spicer of the MSU women's hockey team. Sydney, thank you for making some time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you here, and just kind of talk about your early life before coming to MSU. You went to Lindenwood originally. Just kind of talk about your origin going into college hockey.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Canadian. like a lot of us, but I first went to school at Lindenwood, where I enjoyed my first year, not totally the experience I wanted. So then I transferred here to Minot State, where I've been for my last 3 years. And in my senior year, sad for it to come to an end, but yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here. So.
Yeah, and you've had a great impact on, and not only on, but off the ice as well. But before we get into that, just talk about, is there kind of sort of a culture shift, going from Canada to the U.S.? Is there anything that was kind of sort of different that you experienced off the jump at Lindenwood?
Definitely a few different things, even from food to just the general culture. But living here in Minot, I find it very similar to Canada, whereas Lindenwood was definitely a little different, living in St. Louis, bigger American city. So that was a little different, but I find it pretty similar here in Minot, especially with most of my team being Canadian, so that kind of keeps the Canadian culture alive.
That's really cool. And is there also kind of a more calming, assumption that you're close to the border, you're close to your hometown? Just kind of talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a lot closer here than I was at Lindenwood, but also I have lots of family in Winnipeg, so that's definitely comforting as well. And then just like I talked, a lot of girls are from close areas, close to Minot, back home, so it's nice just having all those different places that I can call home, and if I need an escape, it's not far to go.
Yeah, so you mentioned you're from Canada. Do you have a favorite? Do you follow the NHL? Do you have a favorite team or favorite players? Just kind of talk a little bit about that if you do.
Yeah, so growing up in Calgary my whole life, I'd have to cheer for the Calgary Flames.
Not bad. They're a pretty good team. Any players that are in mind, that come to mind?
Used to be Goudreau until he left, but no one particularly right now.
Yeah, that had to have been a tough scene, but he is most certainly a good player, and so is Calgary as well. They're going to be... Look out for them in years to come. They're a pretty solid group, I must say. But yeah, moving on from that, just talk about life on campus. What is it like being in the classroom? Do you have a specific major? What do you do? What do you like to do going on around, walking around campus here?
Yeah, so since I was a transfer, I never really lived in the dorm or had the dorm life, but I'm currently in exercise science, so I spend actually a lot of my time in Swain, and also being an athlete, but in women's hockey, we spend more of our time at Mesa Arena, so that's kind of, I consider it a bit of our campus, but just being involved with campus, going to MSU life activities, just different kind of things like that just help involve and feel a part of the campus life.
Yep, and here we are in Swain right now. So, yeah, and it must be a cool scene for sure. And just talking any sort of role models with professors or teammates or even coaches. I know you play for Coach Miner. What has he been like? What are some things that you have viewed positively from some role models that have been a positive impact for your life?
Definitely going back to Coach Miner, he's a fun guy. He's caring. He cares about our academics. He cares obviously about the sport a lot and our success. So having him as a support system is super nice to have, and he's very welcoming, so he's quite easy to go to. And then touching on professors, with being on the road quite often, we miss lots of schools, so most of the professors here are just very accommodating and understanding of the school that we have to miss, and are willing to help us through it and make sure we're still achieving in the classroom when we can't be there. So,
let's talk about some of the on-ice accolades. So you have a career high in 10 goals, I believe, 4th on the team in points. How good do you feel at this part of the season? And going on, it's going to be a pretty big stretch run, going straight into nationals pretty soon here in the next month or so. Just talk about the stretch run and how you've been feeling so far this season.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say this season I'm feeling my best I have in the last couple of years, which is a nice way to end off the season. But talking on the rest of our season, we have some pretty big games coming up, so it's just exciting. It's a fun opportunity to be able to be playing these top 3 teams, especially with Liberty this weekend. And I think the biggest thing is just gaining the confidence and proving to ourselves that we are a top team and we can compete and get the job done and bring some wins home this weekend. And then also just building that confidence going into our conference tournament and nationals. So I think it's just fun knowing, fun but sad knowing it's come to an end, but fun to get the job done with these group of girls we have.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have you here in Minot. And you mentioned Liberty. That is a very tall task. They've been a juggernaut for a couple years now, and they just had a long winning streak, just ended against McKendree. You know, what's kind of the mindset going around the group as we talk right now?
I think that McKendree, it kind of almost helped us in a way, realize that, yeah, they're great, but there are teams, they are beatable, and that we have the opportunity to beat them and that we can keep up with them. So I think it's just, that was definitely a shift in our mentality, knowing that they are beatable and we can bring them a good game. And if we bring our A game, then we'll be just fine this weekend.
And we wish you guys all the best of luck there against the Flames. You guys just got done with a weekend series, a home-and-home against the Bottineau Lady Jacks. Just kind of talk about your performance, the team's performance, and playing in a nice little barn that Bottineau has. Just talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Playing from the Mesa to Bottineau was definitely a little different, a little colder as well, but it wasn't too cold, which was nice. But just different ices. It's a good change. As moving forward, we're going to play on different sizes, different home arenas, different places. So I think that's also really good to just play in other people's barns and realize that we can't only win in our own. So I think that's good in that way. And then with the team performance, I thought it was a good stepping stone going into Liberty, just gaining some confidence, like I said, and then putting up some goals. That's definitely something that our team has been struggling with, but considering Bottineau's goalies both played great, putting some goals past them was really nice. So I think just, it was a good weekend, and good weekend just to keep our feet moving heading into Liberty.
Yeah, very well done there against the Bottineau Lady Jacks. And last thing here before we let you go, and again, we thank you so much for joining us tonight. Goals for in the classroom and on the ice, any personal goals or expectations that you have for the rest of your senior year?
Definitely academics. I prioritize that. So just keeping my GPA up, keeping my straight A's that I've had the past couple of years. So nice. I think that's the biggest thing. And then also just with it being my senior year, it's just trying to enjoy it and no specific goals. Obviously win a national title as we all want to. So that's definitely a common goal within the team. But I think it's just trying to enjoy it and trying to take it all in, because soon it does come to an end, and soon it's all over. So I think it's that's the biggest goal, is just enjoying it and getting the most out of it.
Yep. Well, we are definitely rooting for you and for the rest of the MSU Beavers squad there. Again, that was Sydney Spicer, forward on the MSU Women's Hockey Club. Sydney, thank you so much again for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And there you have it, folks. This has been the Inside the Dam podcast, episode 8, the first one back after the Christmas break. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. To those that watched, again, be sure to check out our sponsor, Papa John's, with offering a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 with a valid MSU ID. It's not just students, it is also for professors or any other faculty involved as well. Again, we want to thank all of our guests that joined us today: Kennedy Harris from women's basketball, Oscar Nellis from men's wrestling, and most recently, Sydney Spicer from women's hockey. That'll do it for this episode of the Inside the Dam podcast. We'll be back next week for more. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will be back next week.